Welcome to another episode of Euphoric, the podcast. You guys, my dog is at my feet right now in my podcast studio, so we'll see how long he's quiet and how long this lasts. But today in this episode, I really wanted to talk about this phenomenon that no one is really talking about. When you go alcohol free, so many people talk about, like, oh, well, this is how your social situations will change, and, try these mocktail recipes and like all this kind of stuff. But something that really noticed when I first went alcohol free, and something that's just been the theme that's carried over ever since then, is nobody told me how big my ambitions would get, like embarrassingly big, when I first quit drinking. And I think it's this phenomenon that I see so many times over and over and over again with different clients that come through Euphoric and different people in my world where it's like before your biggest ambition was like, yeah, I want to get promoted or, but like most of the time it was like, can I just get to Friday? Can I just get like to the happy hour or the like unwinding I'm going to do this weekend? And when I removed alcohol out of the picture, all of a sudden it was like, damn, like my ambitions got so big, embarrassingly big, almost like where if you told someone else, like they wouldn't be able to relate to you, especially people who don't have such big ambitions and have learned to really just settle in life. You feel like you don't belong anymore. And that was something that was kind of weird. Like in my social circle and different people I would talk to, it's like I felt like the odd one out, not necessarily because I wasn't drinking anymore, but because like instead of settling for this mediocre life, all of a sudden, like I had such a big head. I was ready to go after such big goals and dreams. And it's almost as if I couldn't relate to people who didn't really understand that. Let me tell you a story. So I remember, I don't know how many months in, maybe like 4 months in, 5 months in, whatever. I remember I would work at a university that was really close to this park. So sometimes on my lunch break, I would go to the park, and it was this really beautiful park. It also had this like beautiful historical monument in San Diego. And I'd go out there on my lunch break, and it was like a nice sunny day. And I remember sitting in the grass, and I was reading a book at that time by Jack Canfield. Now, one of my favorite books by Jack Canfield is The Success Principles. It wasn't that book, though. I don't even actually remember the title right now, but it was a book that was helping you really focus and really dream big. And all of a sudden, I remember writing down, like almost out of nowhere, I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. I want to make millions of dollars. I want to impact so many people. I want to be a top speaker. And it was almost like, Carolina, like, where did all of this come from? Like, literally just 6 months ago or a year ago, I would have never even expressed any of this out loud. And I remember sitting there, like, I was wearing a little cardigan because I was at work, and I didn't have the social media profile. I didn't have the personal brand back then. I didn't have almost anything. And yet I was so freaking audacious. Like, one, I think it was pretty audacious to even claim this stuff, but audacious to like write it down and be like, oh, this is my new reality now. And there's obviously so many goals and dreams that I still have ahead of me, but a lot of that stuff that I first wrote down, I achieved. And it was the ambition and the audacity to claim it that really made that happen. And I'm so glad for that past version of me who did that, who really allowed these new ambitions and these new dreams to like really find a footing of their own instead of trying to talk myself down into what society around me was already doing or would expect out of me. And I think this phenomenon really just happens over and over and over to so many women, so many people who decide to go alcohol free, and we're not talking about it. Like, why does it happen? Why do your ambitions just get so huge all of a sudden? I mean, so many of my clients, like they're aspiring to literally get paid $25,000 to speak on a stage or write the next New York Times bestselling book or have like international villas all over the world. And trust me, the drinking version of us weren't thinking about that stuff. I mean, personally, I can't speak to everyone, but personally, like my vision when I was still drinking was really incremental. And I wasn't even thinking about like having my own business or my own company. I was just like thinking of like promotions. Like, okay, well, I see I'm at this level at my job, so now I want to get to this level next or this level. And I never even stopped to ask myself, like, do I actually want that? Once I was alcohol free, I remember doing this experiment where I thought about everybody who works at my organization, and I worked at a really big university. So there's like directors and VPs and like, on and on and on towards the president. And I thought of every single role that went above mine. And I asked myself, do I envy that person's life? No, not a single person. Like, they built a lot of success in their careers, but that's not the kind of career I wanted. That's not the kind of life I wanted. I wasn't envious in any of them. I didn't want that, right? And that was really telling for me because before, all of my ambitions were just so, categorically normal. They were just like keep getting promoted, make incremental improvements, get to this level, get to this level, get to this next like I remember what was it called? Like salary pay grades, right? Where you go up a pay grade and you're like, yes, now I'm in this pay grade, right? Like those were my biggest ambitions. And I didn't see the bigger picture of what I could really create, like my own business, my own company. I could speak on stages. I could get paid to speak on stages. I could get paid to host retreats around the world. I could get paid to write a book. I could get paid to change millions of people's lives. Like none of that was on my radar when I was still drinking. And so I just want to paint the picture of what a huge change it is to go from, the drinker who just wants to get a salary upgrade and the pay grade, versus the person who really wants to build a movement and change so many lives and go after the biggest audacious goals and dreams. And it's not just the business stuff. Like I wanted to travel, I wanted to be able to spend summers in Europe and go to Bali and all of this like romantic stuff as well of like what an incredible lifestyle would look like. And so here I was, like with these huge ambitions and no idea really how to achieve them, but the deeper why was there. And I think the belief of knowing that now that I don't drink anymore, all of this is so much more possible. And I think it was actually like more than just a belief. I think it was a conviction. It was a conviction that like none of this would have happened if it wasn't for a reason. I meant to do these huge, huge things. And I've talked about this a lot. Like I talk about the alcohol-free brain scramble, how literally your brain is undergoing a lot of neurological changes when you, eliminate alcohol. And these are scientifically proven changes that are happening to the structures of your brain, to the neurons of your brain, to all of the neuroplasticity that happens in your brain. And it is a time to restructure also your beliefs about what's possible for yourself, right? But what happened at the same time was all of a sudden now I have these goals and dreams that like nobody else has, and I can't relate to anyone else. I remember actually even going to this business conference, and you would think that at this business conference, I would be surrounded by so many other people who had such huge goals and dreams. And I remember we got paired up, and I had to speak to a woman, and she's sharing her like big 5-year goal and dreams, and so do I. And she shares hers. No, first I think I share mine. So I share mine first, and mine's like New York Times bestselling author. I want to help millions of people. I want to speak on stages. I want to host conferences like this. I want to, work with thousands of clients. I want to make a lot of money. I want to travel the world. And it's just like, blah, 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 like I just like exploded this huge like dream scenario for her. And then when it was her turn, she was just like, I want to be like a better mom and like maybe get like a promotion this year. Like it was just so small, right? And I'm not trying to like poke fun at her of anything like that. I was just like almost like, did I do the exercise wrong? Like did I reveal something I wasn't supposed to reveal here? Oh, did I think too big? Am I being too audacious? And there's been so many times in my personal life where I have interacted with people who think really, really small, who are just looking out for the next promotion or the next upgrade, but like in this really small time thinking, they're not thinking of the huge pivot or the huge quantum upgrade or the huge quantum leap and stuff like that. And I think that we have to, make light of this because if it's happened to me and it happens to so many of my clients, like maybe it's happening to you and it's hard to understand what to do with it, right? First of all, it's amazing. Like be so proud of yourself that your ambitions got bigger. Be so proud of yourself that they're super embarrassing even to admit to other people because everyone around you is playing so small. Like you are the mover and shaker. You are the legacy maker. This is why I always argue the universe hand selects you to eliminate alcohol because you have such a massive purpose to play on this planet. You have such a big legacy. We don't have time for alcohol anymore. And that's what's naturally happening and forming when your ambitions get bigger. Is like you can't see this small thinking, this foggy thinking, this super myopic thinking anymore. You are thinking big into what's possible and stuff like that. You are stretching yourself in so many incredible ways. And a lot of times you're not going to relate to the people around you who are doing really small-minded versions of their life. And I think from a spiritual perspective, like everyone's living the life that they're like supposed to live, and people are growing in their own ways in different ways. So it's not like a hierarchical thing, but it's just like you sometimes just can't relate. Like your goals and your dreams are just much bigger than someone else's. And how do you make sense of that? And you already changed because you don't drink anymore and maybe this is changing, that's changing. So it's like, how do you make sense of that, you know? And I think, first of all, being around other people who also are this embarrassingly ambitious for their own goals and dreams, not just for what society dictated is success, is so important. And I wish almost someone told me something like that, because instead of feeling abnormal in the group I was in, I would have felt like, oh my gosh, no, there's so many other people who are dreaming this big. And sometimes you have to almost get in front of you someone who thinks even bigger than you, who that like really kind of like shocks you into thinking like, "Oh man, I'm still playing really small. I'm still, not going after this." And speaking of just like the things I wish I knew, just because I had really big ambitions, like again, I'm thinking of that version of me in the cardigan, in the grass, newly alcohol free, who's painting this vision of doing a book tour. Before there was anything, before I was even on social media, I was dreaming of the book tour before I even posted my first post. And yet there it was. I still had a lot of fears and doubts. I still had so much to learn. And if you're on this journey and you wanted to glean us a little bit of wisdom from what I've learned this many years through, of just like how to navigate like having big goals, dreams, ambitions, but still dealing with all the human problems that we humans have, like doubt and fear and imposter syndrome, and so many other things that come up when you do go and chase big things, like watch what happens to your mental health and your psychology when you are this audacious. Like it is such a personal growth journey. Becoming an entrepreneur, especially, is such a personal growth journey. It will show you where you are still terrified of being seen. It will show you so much about yourself. Like it's just such a huge learning curve. But if I wish someone sat me down and really, told me some of the lessons that I've learned over the years, these are the 4 things I wish I knew. The first one is really understanding the opportunity that comes with a personal brand. Now, obviously, this is something I did build, and I did start posting on social media, and I grew a social media following, and then an email list, and a podcast like listener, so this is the stuff I was doing. But I even wish I knew clearly how important it was from the very beginning, because like, especially in today's day and age, having a personal brand is probably the biggest opportunity that you have to both have career advancements, make more money, all this kind of stuff, but also to get your work out into the world. Just think about it from like what's really changed in so many years since like social media and the internet's really taken off. Like if you wanted to be a famous artists, for example, back in the 60s, like you would probably go on a lot of shows and concerts and tours and stuff like that. Nowadays, it's like if you're not on social media, if you're not building a personal brand, are you even an artist, right? It's like there's actually this quote I came across that I wanted to read to you guys. If your work is not online, it doesn't exist. And it almost doesn't matter what your work is, whether you are an artist, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to be a coach, whether you are a coach, whether you are growing a thought leadership brand, whether you are a finance expert, whether you're an HR expert. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If it doesn't exist online, it doesn't exist at all. And I think that's just the world that we live in now, and we have to come to terms with that. And I'm so glad that I got started building a personal brand when I did back in 2018. Now, do I wish I went faster? Yes. Do I wish I did a lot of things differently? Yes. And I'll go over those things just in a moment. But let's like recognize that when you want opportunity, when you want doors to open, when you want to get clients, when you want to get job opportunities, when you want to get consulting gigs, when you want to mentor people, when you want to get paid to speak on stage, like all of it, the book, you want to write a movie, like I don't care what your goal or dream is, it all still goes back to having a personal brand and really recognizing that the power to build an audience is so important. Like I was listening to another podcast from my mentor, and she was talking about how celebrities these days have such an easier time selling products because they already have the personal brand. They already have this audience that really wants to buy their product and, show up whatever they're doing. And it's just so important. It's a lot of obviously like it's a lot of power at the end of the day when that's like the currency at where you're actually translating your ability to move people, to attract people, to get people's attention, get people to trust you. Like that is probably one of the biggest currencies you can have. It's an incredible skill to have, but it's obviously really hard to develop. And if you don't already have a personal brand, or you do have a personal brand, you know better than anyone how cringy it feels. Like it can feel so hard to put yourself out there because you're not hiding behind a product. You're not hiding behind a company. You're not hiding behind a resume. You are putting yourself out there. You're putting your ideas out there. You're putting your philosophy out there. You're putting your opinions out there. You're putting your advice out there. You're putting your story out there. You're sharing your face out there. You're getting on video. Like, none of this is easy, right? It's not easy by any means. And there's going to be a lot of little humiliations that come along the way. I mean, just the other day, I was trying to go live with a colleague of mine and a former client of mine, and she and I couldn't connect. So my internet like kept not working, and I was like, "Oh my God, we're supposed to go live." I already told my audience it was at this time, and every time I start like with a like a hook and an opener, and then I just noticed like 3 seconds in that my internet cut off. But like people are still kind of joining and stuff, and then I get like super flabbergasted. I'm like, "Damn it, like this isn't working," and stuff like that. I try 3 times, all 3 times don't work. I'm kind of talking and then I'm kind of like, not slurring, but when you like missay something, I do that all the time, by the way, you guys. So I'm kind of like misspeaking sometimes, and then I get like in my head and I say something wrong, and I'm like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. And then finally I got off like my Wi-Fi. I don't know why my Wi-Fi wasn't working that day, and I got off on just normal 5G and I was able to go live, but it was after like 3 really embarrassing flops. And I'm sure like the first 5 seconds of that video was like me being like really weird and frazzled and stuff like that. And I've been doing this for years. Like this kind of stuff happens all the time. Like my client was telling me, and at the 5X certification, she was one of the guest speakers. She was telling the story of this really cringy moment she was having where she was trying to do like a somatic embodiment dancing practice and the music wasn't working. Like, you have to be willing to embarrass yourself. And I think that's like what is such a big divide between people who really succeed with personal brands and people who don't, is like you have to be willing to embarrass yourself. And I tell this to my clients a lot that, great artists often think that this is their vision of what they want to create over here. This is like the mecca of what they want to build. But what they're actually able and capable of producing is way down here. And so what happens is that you have this huge vision for what you want to produce, and what you are producing looks like shit. Let's just be honest, right? Pablo Picasso used to think that way. Pablo Picasso, like the great modernist painter of the 20th century. And so if he felt like that, what's the likelihood that you're not going to feel like your stuff is crap, or that you're not saying something relevant, or that you did something embarrassing, or that you're not good at it, or that it's not taking off? Like, this is what we have to deal with all the time. It is the biggest currency you have to build a personal brand, but it is also going to reveal a lot of your fears, doubts, fears of embarrassing yourself, and just exactly what looking cringe means, right? People can even make fun of you, right? They'll make fun of you now, and then they'll ask how you did it a few years later. And so, of course, I did go in all on that, but I wish I took it even more seriously. And that brings me to my next point on what I wish I learned about how to deal with my huge ambitions, is to be really consistent with creating content. Now, in so many ways, like I've been super consistent in my business. I've had a podcast that has gone live every week for almost 8 years now. I've had, email newsletters go out. I have had social media posts go out every week for years. So there's a lot of consistency I'm standing on. But even now I'm recognizing like I can produce at a higher level than I've ever been able to before. I am in like a creative vortex right now. There's just like this energy that I have of wanting to share so much, and finally like really nailing a process for myself. If I had this creative energy and like this just sense of fire and prolificness back when I was just starting, or back in 2020, or back in 2021 or 20, like things would have blown up so much faster. And it doesn't mean that you have to be so consistent where you're like literally working every day and posting every day and like just like on crazy levels that you're not able to keep up with. But you have to choose what that consistency will actually look like for you and commit to it. And that was where so many people peel off. It's just like you post, or you produce something and you don't see it working. And after a while, when you don't see it working, you just give up on it. And if you only would have just kept going with it, like I love those videos. There's someone I follow, for example, who's really big on YouTube, and she was showing how she first started in 2020 on YouTube, and she was sharing how she had like 500 subscribers and how slowly the subscribers were like adding up. And then like the music's like really slow too, you know what I mean? And it gets slowly to like 1,000 subscribers, and slowly to 2,000 subscribers. And then all of a sudden it starts like speeding up the music, and she goes to like 1,000,000 subscribers. And if she would have given up in the first like 3 years, she wouldn't have seen that. And a lot of the things we're doing are going to take years. If you want to write a book, it's going to take years. If you want to write a book, you have to build a platform. Books don't just sell based on the idea, that the publishers want to know that the author can sell it. And so all of this personal brand stuff is just as important for you. You know what I mean? Almost everything relies on that personal brand that you want to do in this world today. So all of this stuff takes so much consistency, where if you want to write a book, you're going to probably need to, actually devote the time to build a platform and devote the time to writing the book every single week. If you want to have a top ranked podcast, you're going to have to produce a podcast every single week. If you want to grow on YouTube, you're going to have to do that every week. If you want to grow on social media, you're going to have to do that every single day. And if I knew what I know now, that just showing up and doing the thing and getting better at it, because you will get better. Like at first, I wish that I knew that I think quantity matters more than quality. I think we get so in our head that we have to be perfectionists around these things. And I wish someone was just telling me, like, Carolina, produce, produce, produce. And I recently just read this book, Be Your Future Self Now. I was rereading it, actually. I already read it once, and it was a book club in my thought leader mastermind. And there's this idea by Seth Godin, who's like a top marketer and New York Times bestselling author. And he talks about shipping it. And he's like, ship it, ship it, ship it. And what does he mean? Ship it is when you create work and you actually put it out in the world. So whatever that means, whether that means selling muffins on the street, whether that means posting a blog, whatever it does, don't just create privately in your little, head, in your little notebook. You need to ship it every day. And so when you ship it, you always are shipping imperfect work, right? It's very imperfect. You could tool around and make it better forever. But why? This, like, for the most part, isn't your magnus opus, right? Your magnum opus. This is a social media post at the end of the day, or something like that. Like, the high stakes come with writing a book or getting on a TED Talk or something like that. Everything else we do is super low stakes. Like, you have a misspelling in a post, who cares? Move on, right? You misspeak something in a podcast, just like I did right now, you move on, right? And it's funny to just watch people who are really, really prolific. Yes, they do quality as well, because you're going to get better naturally, but you're not going to get better until you do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I remember, like, people always ask me, I don't get really nervous when I speak on stage. Like, I can command and talk for hours on end. And it's like, how did you get there? It's like, well, I used to be really nervous. My very first podcast, go back and listen. I was with my friend Danielle. We were so nervous that we were supposed to have a conversation with each other, but we were so nervous we can't even look each other in the eye. So instead, I face one wall, she faces another. And that's my first podcast episode. I remember going live every single week at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays over and over and over and over and over again, just to build my speaking muscle. 1 or 0 people would show up. You know what I mean? But I kept doing it over and over consistently. So that is so important. And even now, even though I think I've been pretty consistent over my span of my, online business career, I could see how much of a higher level I could do that at now, and I'm glad that I can do it now. Obviously, you learn where you can. Then maybe they just didn't have the capacity back then, but, like, be consistent. Just do it. Just do the thing. Just ship it. You know what I mean? All right. So the next point I want to make, that I wish I really understood when I was just, starting and had just these big ambitions, was you're going to need to invest a lot in your skills. And you do not want to be cheap about this. You are going to need to invest in how to learn how to build a personal brand. If you are a coach or consultant, you're going to learn how to actually facilitate transformation for other people, facilitate change. If you are someone who wants to write a book or get on stages, you are going to have to massively learn how to upgrade your skills. There is no one out there who has all the skills in the world when they're first starting. And I think that this is something that really accelerates your success or doesn't. And obviously I was nervous to, invest in my first few times. Like, even the $20 website was something that I was nervous about. A $20 cocktail, no problem. But a $20 website where I was going to build my dream business, all of a sudden gets me, doubting. But you learn, and, at first you try to be cheap about it because you don't know what you're doing, but you learn the hard way that the cheap mistakes add up. And for example, I took a $500 certification. I'm actually really embarrassed about this now because I'm, like, really obsessed with, like, really proper training, and I have my own certification, but I took a $500 certification. I didn't learn basically anything. I couldn't have Googled myself. And when I went time to actually share my services with the world, I hid. Like, I didn't even put a book a call with me on link on my, like, website for like a year. So that $500 certification ended up costing me a year's worth of revenue. The next year, I knew that something had to change, and I invested in a $15,000 certification, and I started signing clients left and right with the confidence I built, and I made six figures that year. I could have made six figures the year before if I actually just invested in the right training then. So don't be cheap about this. Recognize that if you want to get ahead, if you really want to grow and have your beautiful ambitions play out, there's so many skill sets you're going to have to learn, and there's so many people ahead of you that will be willing to teach you, whether it is a certification program, whether it's a mastermind, whether it's a business coach, whether it is a program that you're investing in. This is what it takes to really grow and build. And it also is going to help you guide other people through change and transformation and teaching as well. So it's like, what kind of, like, if you want to have a personal brand where you're selling, for example, like training on how to, I don't know, manifest your dream life, who's going to trust you to, buy your thing if you're not ever investing in learning how to upgrade your skills? Like there's a piece of integrity that gets kind of missing like that. And that's just something that, again, I really, really wish I knew when I was starting. Okay, and the last one I wanted to share with you guys is that it's going to take a lot of work. And I knew that, and I had a lot of grit when I was first starting, and I would wake up early. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. I would hustle. I would, spend a lot of time on my computer. And then somewhere along the way, I feel like people were promising you, oh, you can build a really successful business without social media. You can build a really successful business and only work an hour a week. You can build a really successful business and, travel all the time without ever picking up your computer. And I think what happens when you hear this kind of messaging, that it's supposed to be really easy, is it's actually makes it harder for you. Because what happens is that when you know it's going to be hard, you prepare yourself and you roll up your sleeves and you're like, if I want this, I'm just going to work really hard. That's fine. But when someone tells you, oh no, it's supposed to be easy, or no, you're supposed to do it without a big social media following, oh no, you're supposed to be able to do this without this and this and this, all of a sudden you feel like there's something wrong with you because it's not working out for you doing the easy route. And it's this lie. It's really a marketing lie. A lot of people are just trying to sell you stuff that, you don't have to do the thing you don't want to do. Like, yeah, most of the time you are. Most of the time you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and do a lot of work and try a lot of things and throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall. And I'd much rather hear that truth and know that from the get-go. This is going to be hard, but your hard work is going to pay off. And then you're going to have the rewards. Then you're going to be able to, travel when you want. Then you're going to be able to have so much more leverage and stuff like that. But it is going to be hard. And not just the work is going to be hard, but like dealing with your emotions is hard. Do you know how hard it is to put yourself out there on like a social media post over and over and over again and get no likes or validation or anything like that? Like, it is mentally hard. This stuff is hard. And I have a joke with my clients that we're not doing anything physically hard. Like, compared to my ancestors who survived concentration camps and bombings and horrible famines, we're typing and we're talking. That's literally it. That's what the job consists of. You're either typing or you're talking. It's not that big of a deal, but emotionally it gets so hard because we have these expectations and we think something's going to take off, and just things like take more time than we think and take a lot more effort and a lot more spaghetti throwing. So that's what's hard. It's emotionally gets hard because you're trying stuff that isn't working and you're really close to giving up, or you're just feeling really defeated or frustrated all the time. Hello, this is the life of an entrepreneur. This is what you signed up for when you have big ambitions. And trust me, it's so worth it. Because if you're willing to do the hard work, if you're willing to regulate your emotions and go through those hard times, like I just had a meltdown on Tuesday. Like this week, I'm recording this on Thursday. Tuesday was like a really rough day for me. So it's not like just because everything's successful now that I don't have rough days. I do. I was like so over it on Tuesday. But you pick yourself back up, you coach yourself, you have those skills hopefully, and you're able to coach yourself through it. You work with your own coach, you work in your own mastermind, you cry in the corner, you get back up again, and you like get back the energy and you go for it. Like, your dreams matter way too much, then let the defeat get to you and then the regret get to you that you actually didn't really try as hard as you knew you could. You know what I mean? And I'd so much rather work really, really hard to build something. And the rewards I've gotten personally, like, yes, I take off all summer almost and travel around Europe. Now I'm still working, like I'm still doing my calls, I'm still working maybe like an hour or two a day, but it's not as intensive as when I'm home because I work so hard at home that I've allowed myself that flexibility to do that when I travel. I'm able to take off and be in Bali or in Alaska or in Hawaii. Like you do get to live this lifestyle and you do get to leverage what you've built, but it doesn't mean that there aren't periods and seasons where you're working incredibly, incredibly hard. And I actually just wish that, like, the people who are telling you it can be easy, it's like, just feel into it, just manifest it. Like, yeah, manifestation works, but we can't teach it in a way that is saying like it doesn't require the work and that it's just going to happen to you and opportunities are just going to fall into your lap because you're attracting them from the right energetic state. No, you're going to go pitch yourself. You're going to go ask if you can have those opportunities. You're going to have to go for it. And that's the kind of like mindset that really works so much better for me because I know when someone tells me that something's hard, I feel challenged in a good way. I know I can do it. I have that belief in myself that I can do it. And I think that's what's the theme is for all of these things. Like, can you trust yourself to show up? Can you trust yourself to be consistent? Can you trust yourself to invest in yourself? Can you trust yourself to do the hard work? Even when it comes to like investing in yourself, a lot of times, and this is obviously even like a mentality I had, it's so scary to invest in yourself because you don't know if it's going to pay off. And so you see it as this very zero sum game where it's like, oh, if I invest $10,000 here or $20,000 here or $500 here, I might just lose it completely. Like all that money is just gone, right? But if you're investing in yourself in some way for you to make more money in the future, which almost all investment in yourself is, even stuff that's lifestyle. I mean, hell, if you invest in yourself to go alcohol free, I promise you, you're going to make more money. Like it's a given, not just save more money, make more money, right? So there's so many like lifestyle or mental health or sociological things that you can invest in that will improve your ROI. But also when you're investing in a business, when you're investing in a certification, all that kind of stuff too. And so if you just see it as that zero sum game, like I'm going to just be out this money, what you're really telling yourself is that you don't believe you have the capability to make that. You don't believe that out of the, lifespan of your career that you're going to make that double, triple, quadruple, 10x, 20x, 50x. You are essentially telling yourself that you don't believe in yourself. And I really wish someone told me that because I think I would have seen things a lot differently. I wouldn't have invested in a $500 certification that got me nowhere and put me behind by a year. I would have taken the right steps right away. Like, don't be cheap in this area, right? And I wanted to leave you with this last quote because yes, it's hard. Yes, you have to show up. Yes, you have to be consistent. You have to put your face on it. You have to put a personal brand. This isn't like build a business with, you not in it. Like you have to be in it in today's day and age. Like it's the only thing that AI won't be replacing. But all of this stuff comes down to, this quote I really wanted to share with you, which is working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. And I think that just hits home for me, especially for everything I've built. I work really, really hard. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. It's been really, really frustrating. It's been really, really rewarding, but I love it. I love it so much. Like, you couldn't take this away from me if you tried. I never felt like this about any other job. I think about my business as part of my family. You know what I mean? I was actually reading that. So I'm a Cancer moon and a Leo sun. And not to like say anything to the Cancers out there, but I was kind of like, I don't know if I like that, being like, I like the Leo sun, it's the leader part of me, but the Cancer moon seems like emotional and whatnot. But then I read this one interpretation that changed everything for me. And it said that your business is like a baby to you. It is like your family. It is something like a ride or die that you're going to protect. And I'm like, damn, that's like spot on. That is how I feel about my business. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I think about it a lot. I am able to like have space from it and like recharge and get my creative juices flowing again and stuff like that. But I just keep coming back, like more ideas, more impact, more fulfillment. It's all baked into this. And when you're working a lot and you're getting burnt out and you're getting stressed out and like it's not working out, it's probably a sign that that isn't the ultimate source of fulfillment for you. And here at Euphoric, we do train you to become a 5-time certified coach in the subconscious arts, to become a mindset and subconscious change coach, an alcohol-free empowerment coach, a success coach, an NLP practitioner. and a hypnosis practitioner, all in our 5X certification program that also includes the business training to lay down the foundations for your six-figure brand. And I just know that so many people who are into personal development, into the alcohol-free lifestyle, the only reason why you're interested in this is because you're actually meant to be a leader in it. I don't think you just get into this casually. I don't think people listen to podcasts casually. I think people who listen to podcasts are meant to have a podcast. I think people who read books are meant to write a book. Do you know what I mean? And if you agree, like, let me know. I would love to hear what your big ambitions are. And if you're in a position right now where you're feeling a lot of that stress and that burnout, right? That's when the work is hard. You're going to work really hard for the thing you love, but it's not going to feel like that. It's going to feel like excitement. It's going to feel frustrating sometimes too, like my Tuesday, but it's mostly going to be really exciting, thrilling, fulfilling, impactful, rewarding, and the kind of money that you can make when you build your own thing and you master the power of selling, subconscious selling, premium selling, conviction-based selling. Like, these are the skills you want to have for life. So do check out the show notes. We have a link for you to learn more about the 5X certification program. This is where I've been teaching incredible alcohol-free women how to use their transformation to grow personal brands, to sign clients, to become highly skilled in the subconscious change model. And I know a lot of coaches, for example, also graduate from these programs that didn't teach them very much. And then you feel not as confident. You have a harder time putting yourself out there and really commanding, the clients that you want to command. So personally, I think upleveling your skills is really, really smart. And it's also going to give you the conviction and the confidence you need to get to the next level in your career. So if that's something that's interesting for you, do be sure to look at that. We have really limited spots, and our next spring round starts at the end of April. We're not going to open it up again for a while. Spots are going to sell out. And when you apply, you're going to have a conversation with me. We're going to map out your career in this space. So it is a strategy session that we get to do together. I can't wait to hear from you. Let me know which of these 4 lessons hit you the hardest. Send me a DM. I'm only a DM away at euphoric.af. And go check out my new YouTube channel. You guys, I'm having so much fun with YouTube. We have new weekly videos. I'm going to be dissecting the most successful people who don't drink and their stories behind why. I'm talking about the alcohol-free competitive advantage that you get through the neuroplasticity and the alcohol-free brain scramble. We're going to be talking about how to lose the desire to drink, how I got a book deal with less than 5,000 followers. It's all there. If you're into the entrepreneurship and the alcohol-free style life, come into my YouTube. You can find the link in the show notes as well. All right, guys, until the next episode.